Hello, my dear student. This is Sonia Kaushik, and in class 12th biology, we have started our chapter Organism and Populations from Unit Ecology, and we have discussed overall the all topics of our chapter. And today, I am going to explain some examples from the topic population interaction. All right. As you all know, different types of organisms live together in an ecosystem, and they undergo some interaction that is called population interaction. So different types of population interaction we can see in our environment, like if species A and species B, two species have a beneficial effect on each other, they live you can say symbiotically. That type of interaction is called mutualism. And if one organism both organism having a negative or harmful impact on each other, that is called competition. If one species is benefited, other will be harmed, this will be predation. And if one is benefited and other is harmed, this may be parasitism, in which one organism may act as parasite. And the type of interaction in which one organism is benefited, other have no effect, that is commensalism. And another type of population interaction in which one species get harmed and other have no effect, this is called amensalism. So today basically I'm going to discuss the examples of this interaction. All right, so first of all I'm coming to the predation. Yes, predation. Yes, as you all know, animal eating plants are called herbivores. So many types of plants have different adaptations to you can say prevent themselves from eating by herbivores. So like you can see that the prickly pear cactus introduced in Australia in 1920s, and that rapidly spread into millions hectare of the area or rangeland, you can say. So that cactus was the population of that cactus was controlled by a cactus feeding predator. All right, so in our nature we can see that there is a type of food chain, and one organism feed on other organism that controls the population of one organism. This we can say this is a biological control or natural control. One more biological control method you can see, that in case of rocky intertidal communities of American Pacific coast, the starfish pasture is important predator. All right, so in a failed experiment, when all starfish were removed from enclosed intertidal area, more than 10 species of invertebrates become extinct. That means that is due to interspecific competition. Next, one more important example is camouflage. The organism can you can say hide itself in its background. That type of you can say avoiding or being detected by predators. So that is a camouflage. Like you can see the example of monarch butterfly, that is highly distasteful to its predator as it feeds on poisonous weed. You can see here monarch butterfly is highly distasteful to its predators. ये क्वेश्चन बेटा CBSE में एक बार आ भी चुका है. Why the predators avoids monarch butterfly? Because of its unpleasant taste, due to as it feeds on poisonous weed whenever it is present in a caterpillar stage. And many of the herbivores are predators. Like we can say around 25% of all insects are phytophagous, जो plants के plant sap पे feed करते हैं. ऐसे बहुत सारे organism हैं. आपने एशेशिया यानी कि कीकर के अंदर या कैक्टस के अंदर आपने देखा होगा कि उनके अंदर बहुत ज़्यादा जो है थॉर्न्स एंड कांटे जो उनके अंदर होते हैं, दैट इज़ स्पेसिफिकली द मॉर्फोलॉजिकल अडेप्टेशन टू prevent their self from herbivores. Similarly, you can see in Calotropis, आग का जो पौधा होता है that have highly poisonous cardiac glycosides. उसके अंदर cardiac glycosides होते बेटा, इसीलिए herbivores उनको नहीं खाते because they get uh, you can say they have some um, hallucination effect like that. So similarly many other plants, like some plants have nicotine, like tobacco that have nicotine, tea have caffeine, cinchona tree that is used for treatment of malaria, quinine is obtained from the bark of plant, like strychnine, opium poppy plant से मिलता है ये. So all these are basically drugs that are obtained by different parts of plants. So these plants are actually having these defense mechanism against grazers and browsers, right? Next we are coming to एग्जाम्पल ऑफ कंपटीशन. माय डियर स्टूडेंट्स, कंपटीशन में दोनों ही स्पीशीज़ एक दूसरे पर नेगेटिव इम्पैक्ट डालेंगी. अब ये कंपटीशन इंटर स्पेसिफिक भी हो सकता है, यानी कि दो डिफरेंट स्पीशीज़ के बीच में भी हो सकता है. इंट्रा स्पेसिफिक भी हो सकता है, जिसमें दोनों सेम स्पीशीज़ के बीच में कंपटीशन होगा. फॉर एग्जांपल, आप साउथ अमेरिकन लेक्स के अंदर दैट हैव विजिटिंग फ्लैमिंगोज, जहाँ पे फ्लैमिंगोज आर बेसिकली बर्ड्स, जहाँ पे फ्लैमिंगोज आती हैं, सो दे कम्पीट विद फिशेस. ठीक है, ये माइग्रेट करके यहाँ पर आती है और दे जो वहाँ की रेजिडेंट जो फिशेस हैं उनके साथ वो कम्पीट करती है, बिकॉज दे बोथ हैव अ कॉमन फूड, जू प्लैंक्टन. All right, so this is a type of interspecific competition. Like flamingo and fishes are belongs to different species, so they have common food source, so they are showing interspecies competition, right? Because they are interfering in the food resource. Similarly, you can take examples of abundant tortoise in Galapagos Island, which become extinct within decade after goats were introduced. Like goats are also herbivores, and this tortoise also feed on the grass that is present there. So this type of competition is also interspecific competition, and the species that is competitively superior, or you can say that can um, affect the other competitive species. So this type of species that one can you can say completely removes other species, this type of process or phenomena is called competitive release. इसको competitive release कहेंगे. एक और example की बात करते हैं students. Like Cornell elegant in a field experiment, they show that rocky sea coast of Scotland and the larger competitively superior barnacle balanus dominates the intertidal area. ठीक है, तो ये जो ऑर्गेनिज्म था, दिस इज ये कहाँ डोमिनेट करता था? इंटरटाइडल एरिया में. और जो स्मॉल स्पीशीज थी, सिमिलर स्पीशीज थी, वो कहाँ थे? दे आर फ्रॉम स्मॉलर बर्नेकिल जो थी, दैट इज फ्रॉम दैट आर नॉट इन इंटरटाइडल एरिया. तो दोनों ही एक दूसरे पर एडवर्स इफेक्ट डालती हैं, बिकॉज बोथ आर हर्बीवोर्स. सो दिस टाइप ऑफ कॉम्पिटिशन में भी यू कैन से इंट्रा स्पेसिफिक कॉम्पिटिशन. Gauss' competitive exclusion principle, it states that two closely related species competing for same resources cannot coexist. दो species जो closely related species है, अगर उनका food resource same है, so they cannot survive at the same time. This is called Gauss competitive exclusion principle. Very very important. हाँ, वो दोनों survive कर सकते हैं if they undergo resource partitioning, यानी कि अगर वो fix कर लेते हैं that the part of for example, if two species are feeding on the same resource, and to avoid competition they choose different feeding areas, so they can undergo resource partitioning. Like you can see example Mac author, उन्होंने क्या किया? They showed that 5 closely related species of warblers living in the same tree are able to avoid competition and coexist due to behavioral difference in their foraging activities. तो उन्होंने resource partitioning किया and they can coexist together. Parasitism. As you all know students, parasite is an organism that feed and use the body of host as food and shelter. Alright, that are called parasite, and the organism on which the organism feed and take shelter, that is called host. So you can take example the liver fluke, that is a nematode parasite, or that have two intermediate hosts, a snail and a fish, to complete the life cycle. So you can say that if the parasite is present on the outside of the body, that is called ectoparasite, and if it is present inside the body, that is called endoparasite. Ectoparasite, you can take example of hair lice. Endoparasite, liver fluke, you can take example. In plants, you can take example of Cuscuta, अमर बेल जिसको बोलते हैं, that can found growing on hedge plants, and lost its chlorophyll and leaves due to course of evolution because it doesn't prepare its own food as it is a parasitic plant. एंडोपैरासाइट आपको पता है, जैसे मैंने लीवर फ्लू का एग्जांपल दिया. ब्रूड पैरासिटिज्म बहुत अच्छा एग्जांपल है स्टूडेंट. कुकू बर्ड ले इट्स एग इन क्रो नेस्ट. कोयल जो कुकू बर्ड है वो अपना नेस्ट नहीं बनाती है, इट विल ले इट्स एग इन द क्रो नेस्ट एंड द क्रो विल टेक केयर ऑफ एग्स, एंड the cuckoo bird in its breeding season like spring to summer, it lay its egg in the crow nest. So this type of parasitism in which the bird is taking benefit from the other bird in the form of taking care of its egg like that. So this type of parasitism shown by cuckoo bird is called brood parasitism. Commensalism means one species is benefited and other have no effect. So an orchid growing as an epiphyte on a mango branch, तो अगर एक एपीफाइट होता है बेटा जो किसी और प्लांट पे ग्रो करता है, अगर वो मैंगो ट्री पर अगर कोई ऑर्किड ग्रो कर रहा है, सो ऑर्किड को तो मैंगो ट्री हैव नो इफेक्ट, दिस एंड द epiphyte or the orchid having a positive effect. So this type of interaction is called commensalism. Similarly, you can take one more example, the cattle ergot and the grazing cattle in close association. So here you can see that the ergots always forage close together in the cattle grazing the cattle. तो यहाँ cattle को तो कोई फायदा नहीं होगा, ergot have a positive effect because it get more food resources, more insects from the vegetation as the cattle moves on. One more example of commensalism you can take of sea anemone and the fish. Sea anemone have stinging tentacles, and the clone fish when lives together along with sea anemone, so fish get protection from the predators as sea anemone have stinging tentacles, and secondly it also get food benefit as sea anemone move to the new areas or new regions in water. Mutualism in which both species will benefited. Mycorrhiza, that is a symbiotic association between the roots of higher plant and fungi, so both are taking benefit there. One more example, the female wasp using the fruit not only for egg laying but also for nourishment. And in the you can see here mutual relationship between fig tree and wasp. So fig tree get benefit of you can say pollination, and the wasp help take care to get nutrients and to lay its egg. So this is a mutual relationship in which the both species are benefited. One more important concept is sexual dialect. Coming to the point, sexual dialect, you can see here. Yes, in an orchid that is office, there is a phenomena that of sexual dialect. What happens actually? The male bee comes to the flower of this orchid because the one petal of this orchid flower appears to be or seems to be female. So this male bee come here and start pseudocopulation, and that is and in the same way it helps in pollination to the flower. But actually this is not female, this is a petal of flower that seems to be female. So this type of behavior is called sexual dialect. All right, so this is all about the examples of population interaction. I hope it will be helpful for you all. Goodbye.